Chapter 2. Wednesday, August 26th. 10 days until the man burns. Diane looked out the window as the plane headed for Reno, Nevada. A whirlwind couple of days had been consumed gathering things on a list sent by Stacy. She'd bought a dust mask, goggles, and sleeping bag, along with all the other accoutrements and necessities for an extended stay out of contact from the world. All were carefully packed into a couple of bags. Stacy had written that she could provide a lot of the other items needed. Diane had scoured the internet and watched several videos about preparing to go to Burning Man. They'd been very helpful, and she was both excited and apprehensive. The event had been around since the late 80s, starting in San Francisco. The organizers had just been a group of friends who got together on Baker Beach to burn a wooden effigy of a man. Rumors abounded that the man was a representation of the new lover of one of the founding members' ex-girlfriends. The party had grown year after year until it had to find a new home, the Black Rock Desert in northern Nevada. "Headed to Reno or Las Vegas?" Diane turned from the window view to see an older gentleman with long gray hair worn in a braid down his back. He was dressed in a colorful tie-dyed t-shirt and brown shorts, and his eyes were blue and friendly in his craggy, tanned face. "Reno," Diane replied. "Meeting some friends. Camping." "Playa bound?" the man asked. "Playa? I didn't know there were beaches in Reno." "The playa means Burning Man. The dust from the playa gets everywhere, and it's called playa as well. Deep playa is the large open area beyond the man, out to the trash fence, which, by the way, is the outer limit of the site. You don't go past it. That's where dragons are, and 100 miles of desolation. The city is a semicircle centered on the man structure. That's where people camp. The city, I mean." "Okay," Diane said, not really understanding. "Yes, I am headed to Burning Man." "First-timer?" "Yes. It's a bit of a last-minute thing. My friend has been quite a lot." "That's good," the man said, taking a sip from his cup. "To have an experienced friend, that is, makes things simpler." "You going?" Diane asked. "Yes. I'm meeting up with my campmates, then heading out. My name is Badger, by the way." He extended his hand. Diane shook it. "Badger?" Diane said. "I'm Diane. Badger is my playa name. You might get one or might not. Most people who get a playa name go by that name when they're at the burn." "Did you name yourself?" "That's not really how it works. You'll see. Someone else gives you the name. Though if you named yourself, no one would know or care. There is usually a story behind the name, and when someone names themselves, the story tends to be a bit lacking." Badger signaled the flight attendant for more coffee. "What do you do when you're not going to Burning Man, Badger?" Diane asked. Badger took the coffee and took a sip. Then he turned back to Diane. "When you're at the burn, it's best not to ask people what they do in the default world. That way we can get away from it. Anonymity provides us freedom of expression, you see?" "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know." Badger waved his hand dismissively and smiled warmly at her. "Not a big deal. It's just nice to meet people and not have labels on them. Start from just being humans and go from there," Badger said, adding, "This is my 15th time going in 17 years. As cliched as it sounds, the burn has changed my life. Have you heard about the principles?" "The 10 principles? Yes. I can't say I remember or understand them all." Badger ticked them off on his fingers. "Radical inclusion, gifting, decommodification, radical self-reliance, radical self-expression, communal effort, civic responsibility, leave no trace, participation, immediacy." "That's a few to remember," Diane said. "Since you're a virgin, your main job is to try not to die. Drink lots of water and do self-care. It can be very raw and difficult when you push yourself out there. Lots of people forget to sleep or drink and eat enough, and they crash hard. Also, a lot of times, any emotions or trauma you have suppressed tend to come out, whether you want them to or not." "Where did the principles come from?" Diane asked. "Well, good question," Badger said, shifting in his seat. "There are a lot of opinions about when and where they happened. Some thoughts are they happened after the burn of '96, when the thing got a little out of hand. Others are that they were always there but not written down. When Burning Man went from a party to a larger, movement, it had to have some guidance. The '96 burn was a turning point. In order for the event to survive, there had to be rules. Some of them reportedly came from an earlier event called Rainbow Gathering, which still happens. That event's core principles are freedom from consumerism, capitalism, and mass media, along with love, peace, nonviolence, and environmentalism. The early burners were, in essence, pioneers, and like the pioneers, they were tough and smart. They walked out onto a vast, desolate plain and decided they could do something out there. The Self-Reliance Principle is a response to people showing up and just not being able to take care of themselves, expecting others to do it. Wooks aren't really embraced at Burning Man. What's a wook? A wook is usually a young hippie, in appearance anyway, who leeches off of others, not wanting to do any work or take care of themselves. A wook is what society may think of as a hippie, but in reality, most people who align with so-called hippie culture take care of themselves and others with an idealistic goal. I should know, because I consider myself in that category. The problem, you see, is that we as a species are hardwired to expect men to produce more than they consume. If someone does not meet that standard, they run the risk of being excluded. And radical inclusion? Everybody is welcome, regardless of nationality, political alignment, and gender or sexual orientation. The guideline is, don't hurt yourself, don't hurt others. Whatever you want to find, you can find there. If you want to rage to music and take sparkly things, you can. If you want to attend lectures on basically any subject, learn skills, do crafts, pray, volunteer, do performances, you can. It can be as wild or as mild as you want it to be. There is the gray area of shirt cockers and sparkle ponies, though. Shirt cockers? Diane asked, amused. Men wearing only a shirt, not pants. Diane laughed at the image. All nude is fine, Badger continued, but with just a shirt, a lot of people don't like that. And sparkle ponies? Is that good or bad? Diane asked. Badger smiled at her. Good or bad is a flip of the coin. The term denotes being a taker instead of a giver. Sparkle ponies show up with costumes and entitlement. Usually, they expect others to do for them because they are busy being pretty and fabulous. They're taking pretty pictures, the kind of thing you see on the internet or in the media. Sparkle ponies are setting themselves outside the community instead of being part of it, and that goes against self-reliance. There are plenty of other people who show up and dress in fabulous costumes and take pictures, but they pull their weight. Anyway, a lot of burners feel sparkle ponies misrepresent the culture and devalue their hard work. Sparkle ponies are accepted, but not everyone likes them. It is generally used as a derogatory term. The self-expression and immediacy principles I kinda get. What about decommodification? Diane asked. Nothing can be sold or offered for sale except ice, coffee, and RV services. Are you staying in an RV? No, a tent in a carport. Perfect. Your first time should be in the dust. If you had an RV, you could pay to get it pumped out and water filled by the trucks that roam around. They only take cash. Gifting refers to a gifting culture that means people bring things to give to other people. That could be objects bought or made, food, drink, maybe a massage, a song, or just listening, holding space, and being present for someone. It takes a while to realize you don't have to give something back in return. It's not bartering. Gifts don't have strings. Participation and immediacy? Those are pretty well entwined. Being in the moment, being a part of something bigger than yourself, not thinking about yesterday or tomorrow, just soaking it in and saying yes to life or no, if you want. The ability and space to just be. That makes sense. Sooner or later it will, Badger said. A wise man once told me, you don't experience the burn. You are the experience. How did you get your ticket? My friend got it for me, Diane replied. I'm not sure how that works. It's come a long way since you just drove out to the desert and paid cash to a guy in a car. He just sat there with a shotgun and a cash box and pointed you in the general direction. Really? Diane asked incredulously. Badger laughed at her reaction. Really, he said. Now, there are a few ways. You have to register on the Burning Man website, and then there are a few sales. First is FOMO. Fear of missing out? Diane asked. You got it, Badger replied. Those tickets cost the most, almost triple regular tickets. Then there is the main sale on a specified date. Those go quick. There are reduced tickets for low-income burners, and there is the OMG sale later. Established camps are allotted some tickets for their campers. That's a separate thing. People who volunteer the year before are given access to buy or be gifted tickets, depending on how many hours they put in. Then there's the STEP sale, which is a way to purchase tickets for the burn from people who return their tickets for whatever reason. STEP stands for Secure Ticket Exchange Program. And then there are the offline sales. People putting tickets up on scalping sites. Not only is that frowned upon, sometimes they are counterfeit tickets. If you show up to a gate with a fake ticket, you are just out of luck. There are ticket sales where people buy just to resell at ridiculous prices. It is very frowned upon, and the Burning Man organization takes steps to discourage it. Civic responsibility? We support the rules and means by which we exist in society. It's better to think of it as do no harm, not to ourselves, to the environment, to one another. Treat all of those with kindness. Communal effort is just that as well. Help your neighbor. Help yourself. Be a part of something more than yourself. Help to raise everyone. Thanks for all the information, Diane said. Then there is the 11th principle, Badger added. What's that? Consent, Badger said. Consent to take someone's picture or to touch them, and especially for sex. You also need to be able to check in with your partner. Just because someone says yes at first or at one time doesn't mean that consent lasts forever. Say you were with someone, engaging in activities consensually, but then something changed. You need to be able to communicate, check in with your partner, and ensure that everyone is still on board. Each person has the power at any time to give or withdraw consent. Each person has the responsibility to both check in and communicate. because assumption of an understanding takes away the other person's capacity and potential to be their best self. Consent is essential on the playa. Not everyone gets it at first." Diane looked at him, blinking as she processed the large amount of information. "You'll understand more as time goes on," Badger said. "We are making our arrival at the Reno airport," announced a flight attendant. "We want to thank you for choosing to fly with us today. Please return your tray tables and seat backs to their original positions." "Well, I certainly appreciate the education. Any last-minute tips?" Diane asked, putting up her tray table. "Enjoy yourself, and never, ever leave camp without your dust mask and goggles, not even to go to the portable toilets. We call those portos. The dust storms can be intense and sudden, and always bring your cup and ID. A lot of the bars won't serve you without them. If you have any problems, ask for help or find a ranger. They are burners like you, and they're there to help. If you find yourself near the 9 o'clock side, look me up. My camp is Creative Deconstruction." "Okay, I'll do that." The flight touched down in Reno and pulled to the gate. Diane waved goodbye to Badger and walked to baggage claim.